Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, an alarming increase in the number of people seeking relief from domestic violence. Plus, we'll hear what the city of Bangor is doing to slash the number of vacant homes in the city. And the Coast Guard plans to remove a sunken fishing vessel that was abandoned by its owner. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you very much for tuning in this morning. Looks like today we're going to be seeing a break from all of that humidity, and as the week goes on we may see leftover bits from Hurricane Debbie. So let's check in with meteorologist Conrad Sapinski for that forecast.
Our first weather this morning is brought to you by Washington County Community College in Calais. Check out the new agricultural technology program. Don't miss out on free college. And look at this, a milder start to the day once again. Temperatures back in the 60s for the most part, right? There are a few spots, especially up north, Dover, Foxcroft, north of that into Greenville, Millinocket area. You are looking at those mid 50s outside to start out the morning. Here in town, though, right around 60 degrees. That is a couple of degrees above average. Now, talking about high temperatures, right? Last few days, look at this, 80s and 90s outside. So the last 5 days, we have been seeing those above average temperatures, that up and down roller coaster ride the last 2 weeks. That will be continuing. Now, we start to head into a little bit of a cooler temperature pattern rolling on in. Now, we saw a lot of rainfall outside, especially last night and then even throughout the day yesterday. But now things are improving, a lot more of an improvement. Just a good amount of clouds out there. For the most part, we are dry. Now the winds are right around that 5 to 10 mile per hour range. Of course, there are a couple of more breezier spots right in town. In Waterville, we're looking at a 9 mile per hour breeze, 7 here in town, 5 by Bar Harbor with a wind gust right around 15. Now for today, though, we're going to see some light winds, mostly cloudy skies. For the most part, dry temperatures right around 74 degrees. For tonight, though, mid 50s, mainly cloudy skies, so a little bit more clouds in the area, light winds as well. For tomorrow, though, decreasing clouds and then mostly sunny after 10 a.m. and we are looking at a light breeze, temperatures closer to average right around 80 degrees. Hour by hour forecast is showing that warm up on the way, but we're going to be back in those 70s.
Thank you, Conrad. We'll get another look at that forecast a little later on. Well, people traveling south may run into delays this morning following a grisly truck accident. Troopers have been on the scene of a tractor-trailer crash on the Maine Turnpike in Wells. The Department of Public Safety says it appears the driver lost control around 2:20 this morning while driving in the heavy rain. It went off the road to the left and became tangled in the guardrail. This resulted in the tractor-trailer blocking the 2 passing lanes southbound along with the 2 passing lanes northbound. The rig also spilled its load of plumbing supplies onto the roadway. 73-year-old Larry Biogard of New Hampshire was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Drivers are encouraged to find another route if they plan to travel through this area this morning. One of Maine's major healthcare providers will soon be closing another facility. Northern Light Health has announced they'll be closing its Dexter Internal Medicine facility. The practice provides treatment for common chronic illnesses, cancer screenings, women's health services, and more. According to a spokesperson for Northern Light, the building no longer meets their standards for a patient care facility. This comes months after the announcement that the Northern Light Clinic in Southwest Harbor would also be closing. They plan to consolidate the facility into their regional health centers in the coming months. A statement provided by Northern Light Health reads in part, the decision to consolidate the Dexter practice was not made lightly. We know this transition affects our patients, practitioners, staff, and the Dexter community. That's why we conducted an exhaustive search for a new location in Dexter and carefully considered all of our options before choosing to consolidate. The statement goes on to say their focus continues to be providing high-quality care to their patients throughout the region. In other news, a man accused of killing another man in a drunk driving crash appeared in court for the first time on Monday. 36-year-old Nicholas Libby of Addison, Maine, is facing multiple charges, including manslaughter, aggravated criminal OUI, and driving to endanger, after a crash that happened in April. According to a police spokesperson, Libby was traveling east on Route 1 when his vehicle crossed the center line and struck a Subaru Forester operated by 51-year-old David Worcester of Lemoyne. Worcester died at the scene, and Libby was transported for serious injuries. Libby is expected to be back in court in mid-September. More people called the Maine Domestic Violence Helpline in 2023 than in years past. That's according to a new report from the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bichard spoke with the executive director of the coalition to learn more about what these numbers could mean.
What I know is that domestic violence and abuse is a plague in our state, and that there are thousands and thousands of people who need our help.
Francine Garland Stark is the executive director for the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence. According to a new report, there were 15,147 calls made to the Maine Domestic Violence Hotline last year, more than any previous year.
It's an unanswerable question to say whether something is getting better or worse when you don't have all of the information, and there's no way that we can.
Garland Stark says there are a number of different factors that could be leading to the increase in calls, including a shortage of affordable housing and a backlog of criminal and family law cases in the Maine court system.
People are struggling on many levels. That certainly drives the need for assistance and navigation through these complex times.
Garland Stark adds more resources and funding is needed at the state level to help combat the problem across the state.
The fact that we're getting more calls means that those people need more help, more deeply and more often.
If you or someone you know is struggling with domestic violence or abuse, the Maine Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day by calling 1-866-834-HELP. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bichard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Former Maine Republican leaders voiced their opposition to Donald Trump during a Maine Republicans for Harris campaign event. State Republicans discussed reasons why they're supporting Harris in the upcoming election. Among them was former Maine Republican Senate Minority Leader Roger Katz, who says he believes the choice in this presidential race is clear between a prosecutor and a felon. Tony Payne, who once served as the executive director for the Maine GOP, says the Republican Party has changed for the worse under the direction of Donald Trump.
What Donald Trump and his mob call the Republican Party today is a sect of the Christian right, mega millionaires, MAGA billionaires, racists, and people who don't think women are equal to men, all led by Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and their followers, even here in Maine. So for J.D. Vance, as an example, he wants women out of the workforce and back in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. That is the vision of J.D. Vance and what he brings to the party.
Vice President Harris spent the weekend interviewing finalists for her running mate. She's expected to announce her decision today. In other news, Senator Susan Collins has joined 6 other senators to introduce a bill that will fully fund veterans' benefits. Currently, the VA is at risk of running out of funding before October, leaving 7 million veterans without the benefits they earned. The legislation would ensure the Department of Veterans Affairs is able to continue to pay disability compensation, pension, and education benefits to veterans. In a statement, Senator Collins said, quote, "The brave men and women who have served in our military put themselves in harm's way to defend our nation, and it's our responsibility to provide them with the highest quality health care for any illnesses linked to their military service." A new design of the original Maine state flag that voters will vote on in November was unveiled yesterday at the Secretary of State's office. The flag was designed by Adam Lemire of Gardner. He says he was inspired by walking through Capitol Park and Vile's Arboretum. Okay, that word I'm struggling with. It features a pine tree with 16 branches, one for each county in Maine. Secretary Bellows says there were more than 400 submissions for the contest.
There were over 400 submissions from 42 states and 2 places outside of the country. Mainers and indeed Americans submitted designs that interpreted the pine tree and the North Star in a variety of different creative and beautiful ways. It demonstrates the excitement around the symbol that unites us.
The flag question will be referendum question 5 on voters' ballots this November. There are quite a few referendum questions on the ballot this year, aside from presidential election and all sorts of other stuff. It's going to be a big time in November. All right, coming up, the time now is 8:10, and coming up on the second half of Good Morning Maine, Bangor has been working hard to cut the number of vacant homes and turn them into livable spaces. We'll hear how that's going. But before we go, let's take another quick look at that forecast. We have a less warm day than what we've been seeing recently, with highs of around 74 degrees. It will be mostly cloudy throughout the day, dropping down to a low of 59 overnight. Those clouds are holding on. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, a little bit warmer than today, with highs of almost 80 degrees for your Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Subaru summer is finally here. Escape and explore in a brand new 2024 Subaru Crosstrek. Get 3.9% APR financing on select models or lease for just $299 per month. It's your Subaru. Find it at Quirk.
We've got an all-new game with a new way to play. It's Cash Pop from the Maine Lottery. You just pick one number from 1 to 15. If your number's drawn, you win. Just like that, with cash prizes up to $2,500 and 5 drawings every day. You gotta make it pop with Cash Pop.
It is said that the eyes are the windows into the soul, which begs the question, can a window have a soul? At Renewal by Andersen, we think so. When it's a window forged from Fibrix and over 100 years of refined craftsmanship, the essence of who we are transforms into a superior, stunningly beautiful window. So yes, a window can have a soul. For a limited time, take advantage of this great offer. Find out why we are the better way to a better window. Renewal by Andersen.
Make this the summer at Quirk Ram in Bangor. Lease 25 Ram Bighorn for $546 per month or get 0% APR on Dodge Hornet or 2.9% APR on Jeep Wrangler and Cherokee 4xe hybrids. It's your Ram, Dodge, or Jeep. Find it at Quirk.
She's the apple of his eye.
Ta-da! What do you think?
You look beautiful. And you're grounded.
She may be a tomboy.
You're so lucky you get to be in junior G.I. Joes. And you're lucky I don't want to get blood on my uniform.
But she's still Daddy's little girl.
Sit down, I want to talk to you for a minute.
This isn't a sex talk, is it? Because I already know more than I'd like to.
Learn all about Eve.
Am I supposed to understand what you mean by that?
On Last Man Standing.
Weekdays at 3 on Fox 22.
There are currently 56 properties sitting vacant in the city of Bangor. That's a decrease from over 70 empty buildings just a year ago. Our Doug Banks spoke with the city's code enforcement director about what steps they're taking to make these properties livable again.
I would love it to be sitting here again in a year and have none.
Bank foreclosures are the #1 contributor to properties becoming vacant in Bangor. This, according to the city's code enforcement director, Jeff Wallace, who says on their list of vacant or placard properties, there are some that have been there since the housing crisis over a decade ago.
Foreclosure and people move out and then the banks sit on them for a good period of time.
According to Wallace, there's currently 56 vacant or placard properties around the city, which is less than last year, when that number was over 70. Owners are required by the city to register their vacant properties and pay a fee. Originally, the fee cost owners $250 every 6 months with no increase. But in May of 2023, an escalation clause went into effect, making vacant building permit fees start at $500 and double every 6 months, up to a maximum of $4,000. The city of Bangor has received $44,000 from these fees, which go into their general fund. And Wallace says the fee serves as an incentive for the owners to make the properties livable again.
I don't have any empirical evidence where, someone said, hey, this is the reason that we moved it is because of these fees, but I'm sure that, this is the reason.
Wallace says the Code Enforcement Department will be looking to assist those in search of rehabilitating Bangor's vacant properties.
As a city and as a department, our role in that becomes just doing anything we can to assist in that process.
And for Penquist, one representative says they're currently in the process of looking at these properties as opportunities for affordable housing.
We do know that the state of Maine is going to be around 80,000 housing units short by the end of the decade. It's good to see the city put forth any effort to take offline housing units and bring them back to the market because regardless, it's going to help the low and moderate income households that we try to serve.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Coast Guard is finalizing plans to remove a fishing boat that sank off the coast of Harpswell 7 months ago. The ship was abandoned by its owner and has led to concerns about pollution. Dan Lampriello breaks down the cleanup efforts and the costs.
For 7 months, the ship known as the Jacob Pike has been sitting just below the water off the coast of Harpswell.
The boat sank in January, and it's been polluting the New Meadows River ever since.
Because of that impact, Lieutenant Pam Manns with the U.S. Coast Guard says it's finally time to get it out of there.
I've been in the Coast Guard for 18 years. I've never done anything like this.
Starting tomorrow, the Coast Guard says it'll be working to refloat the ship and clean up any oil and fuel crews haven't been able to access.
There's also oil in the engine or in like the transmission that has also been leaking. So we don't know exactly how much has been on board, but our plan is to use airbags, attach it to the side of the vessel, fill those with air, and then lift it.
The owner of the 75-year-old ship was charged with abandoning it earlier this year after failing to come up with a plan to remove it. He's pled not guilty, but the Coast Guard has now assumed control and will be using money from the Federal Oil Spill Liability Trust Fund to pay for the removal and cleanup.
Will the Coast Guard be trying to recover costs from this gentleman?
Absolutely. The National Pollution Fund Center does try to seek recoup of the funds, and they use different processes to do that, including, if need be, they go through the judicial system.
While that process works itself out, the Coast Guard says the goal now is to just reduce the impacts this ship has had on Maine's coast.
That's what this is all about, is trying to get the pollution threat out of the water so that the New Meadows River stays pristine for everyone to use it.
For many students, the first day of school is right around the corner. The Courageous Steps project is making sure every child in those classrooms has all the supplies they need. Yesterday was the first day of a week-long back-to-school drive in partnership with the Coalland Transportation Museum. Residents are encouraged to drop off items such as pens and pencils, backpacks, notebooks, crayons, and more. According to the nonprofit's founder, all of the items will be distributed across a majority of Maine's 16 counties, including Washington and Penobscot.
We want to eliminate that burden and ensure that families have the access to school supplies that they need so that way children can go to school prepared to have a quality education for the upcoming school year.
Drop-offs and monetary donations will be accepted from now until August 12th. During the museum's normal business hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. All right, the time now is 8:17. After the break, Hurricane Debbie is making history, dropping up to 30 inches of rain in some areas, set to crawl across Georgia, and we'll have the details as Good Morning Maine continues.
The sea off the coast of Maine is constantly turning. Like our lives the past few years. Inflation, assassination attempts, a president unfit to serve a second term, and attacks on women's reproductive freedoms.
I'm Jared Golden, and I can't tell you what's coming next. But I do know Maine does better when we have independent leaders, no matter the weather.
And that's why I do this job for you, not for any political party. I was the only Democrat to vote against trillions of dollars of President Biden's spending because I knew it would make inflation worse. Worked with the Trump administration to build a treatment center in Maine for my fellow veterans and passed a bill to lower prescription drug costs for Maine seniors. Now, I'm fighting against Biden's electric car mandate while voting to increase domestic oil and gas production. Working with Republicans to secure the border and standing with law enforcement against defunding the police.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message because you deserve a congressman as independent as you.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes and More has a team of experts trained in pet orthotics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
This summer, it's time to get away with super hot deals on your favorite Hyundai models. All backed by America's best warranty. Plus 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Add more joy to your journey at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. But act fast because these deals will be over before you know it. Get in and get away now.
Now, for a limited time, get 1.99% APR for 60 months on the Hyundai Elantra. Hurry in to the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Now to the flood emergency in the southeast. The remnants of Hurricane Debbie, already a deadly storm, could now make history, dumping more than 2 feet of rain. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has the latest.
A days-long weather threat is unfolding right now for millions of people in the southeast. What's left of Hurricane Debbie is dumping historic amounts of rain, up to 30 inches possible in some areas. The storm is expected to crawl across South Georgia, then stall off South Carolina. Charleston could get more than 20 inches of rain.
It may be that this is the most water we've seen for a long time. Maybe. We don't know. So stay alert, stay tuned, and stay safe.
South of Charleston, a reported tornado overnight damaging property in Modesto Beach. In Georgia, the mayor of Savannah issued a curfew, warning the deluge could mean, quote, obliteration for parts of the city.
This type of rain hovering over us, coming with the intensity that they tell us that it's coming, it's going to catch a whole lot of people by surprise.
Debbie made landfall along the Gulf Coast of Florida as a Category 1 hurricane, leaving streets underwater and homes without power. More than a foot of rain fell in the Sarasota area, authorities rescuing hundreds of people from flooded neighborhoods.
You can see members of the Florida National Guard in high water rescue vehicles going into neighborhoods like this that are flooded to rescue homeowners.
Debbie is blamed for at least 4 deaths in Florida, including the driver of this truck near Tampa. Police say he lost control of his tractor trailer, the truck's cab then plunging into the water below. Meanwhile, one boater is telling his survival story.
It's a washing machine, basically, is what it is in the Gulf.
Nathan Thomas and his friend were rescued off Florida's Gulf Coast in 20-foot waves. He says the storm came quicker than expected, and they lost the sail on their sailboat.
I knew that if the Coast Guard didn't get us, we probably had less than a 50% chance of surviving.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Definitely causing a lot of destruction there, and there is, of course, the chance that we may see leftover rain from Debbie as the days go on. Not today or tomorrow, though. So let's check in with the expert meteorologist, Conrad Sapinski.
Morning weather is brought to you by Washington County Community College in Calais. Check out the new agriculture technology program. Don't miss out on free college. And wow, we had that hurricane that made landfall in the Big Bend of Florida yesterday morning, right around 7 a.m. And of course, it was a Category 1 hurricane, wind speeds right around 80 miles per hour. Now, not a hurricane, not even close. As hurricanes make landfall, they quickly dissipate in intensity. And that's what we're seeing now, right? Still that counterclockwise rotation right into Georgia and headed into South Carolina, and that will be pretty much in the region, sticking around for like 4 days. So that's going to bring an abundant amount of rain, some places well over 10 to even 15 inches of rain the next 3 to 4 days. Now, all of that's going to go somewhere, right? And it's going to head mainly like this. So we might see some rain showers out of this right in time for the weekend. We'll, of course, keep an eye on things, but by then, just some heavy rainfall at times and maybe some gusty winds. Other than that, this is going to be post-tropical and just a low-pressure system. For now, though, I mean, we're seeing some clouds out there, right? We did see that heavier rain out there last night, even a few thunderstorms late yesterday evening into the overnight hours. Now things are improving. Of course, we're not done with that rain just yet. We're going to continue to see some showers out there maybe later on. Other than that, I do think we're going to stay dry. The coast, I do think they're going to see a little bit more of a chance of some lighter showers throughout the day today, but otherwise, though, here in town, it does look like for the most part we're going to see lots of clouds, but we will stay dry. Now, after that, yes, we are looking at more heavy rainfall moving on in, especially right in time for the weekend. Potentially 1 to even 2 inches of rain. Some places a lot more than that. You see these purples, these reds just north. That's where we're talking possibly over 2 inches of rainfall the next several days. Now, the muggy meter, looking pretty good, right? Dew points are pretty low right through Wednesday, right through Thursday, and even right through Friday. We're looking at low dew points. Friday evening starting to rise, and then by the weekend, we are looking at a little bit more of a muggy scene outside, so it will feel a bit more sticky. Our high is right around 81 degrees, and we're going to be right around 80 Wednesday into Thursday, below average on Friday, Saturday, closer to average on Sunday, and then below average once again by Monday. Now for today, though, mid-70s outside, mostly cloudy skies and a light breeze. For tonight, Tonight, though, mid-50s, mainly cloudy skies for the most part, staying dry. Now, for tomorrow, though, decreasing clouds. Other than that, mostly sunny after 10 a.m. Temperatures right around 80 degrees. Our extended forecast outlook is showing a good amount of sunshine out there for Thursday. More chances of thunderstorms on Friday with heavy rainfall on Saturday.
If you've been injured and think you can't afford a lawyer, think again.
You can hire Lowry & Associates, and there's no fee unless they win your case. Just call the twos.
We don't get paid unless you get paid. We call it the Lowry Guarantee.
They win or it's free. That's the Lowry Guarantee. Lowry & Associates settled my case for $400,000.
Call the twos. We win for you.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do? Call 222-2222.
The furniture revolution continues at Dorsey's, and today it's all about sectional sofas. Big sectionals, little sectionals, reclining sectionals, sectionals with hide-a-beds, chaise lounges, even cuddlers. Heck, we even have sectionals with dog beds. When qualified buyers combine our great sectionals with 24-month 0% financing, they're easy to own too. The sectional revolution is in full bloom at Dorsey's, so what are you waiting for?
Be comfortable, my friends.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Lakeshore Restaurant, 16 Crockett Road, Dexter, has a menu with a wide selection of fried seafood, lobster, burgers, sandwiches, pizza, and more. Try our ice cream or a milkshake. Dine inside or go to our takeout window and sit outside and enjoy the view. Open every day.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
When it comes to the feud,
name a way a woman might say she likes her men and her cheese.
You either nail it,
sharp,
spicy, or fail it.
full of adventure.
When you at the grocery store, you want to find some adventurous cheese running around the dairy section.
Family Feud.
Where are you going? Stop all this adventure.
Weeknights at 7 on Fox 22.
Democratic presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, is reportedly closing in on her choice for a running mate and will make her announcement sometime today. Sources telling Reuters the choice is between Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz. Walz, who's credited with coining the Democrats' new attack line, calling former President Trump weird, has the backing of Senator Bernie Sanders and the president of the United Auto Workers Union. Walz, a veteran, former teacher, and a congressman, is a Midwesterner who could help win over rural America. As governor, he ushered in progressive policies like tuition-free college, legalized marijuana, and codified protections for abortion. Pennsylvania's Governor Shapiro is seen as a moderate who could make the difference in the must-win state for Democrats. In 2022, Shapiro outperformed President Biden's results in 2020 in all 67 Pennsylvanian counties. But progressives have voiced concern Shapiro is too pro-Israel. But supporters say the real issue might be that Shapiro is Jewish. Harris and her VP pick will hold their first rally together tonight in Philadelphia, launching a 5-day tour of 7 battleground states. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. once retrieved a bear that had been killed by a car and left it in New York City's Central Park with a bicycle atop it. Kennedy described the incident, which occurred a decade ago, to Roseanne Barr in a video posted to social media on Sunday. 2 women walking their dogs in the park found the dead bear and alerted authorities, setting off a mystery that confounded New Yorkers. The presidential contender said the bear story would be included in a New Yorker article that he expected to be damaging to him. The article was published Monday and included a photo of Kennedy with his fingers in the bear's bloodied mouth, a mock grimace on his face. Possessing a bear without a tag or a permit, or illegally disposing of a dead bear, are offenses punishable by fines of up to $250 in New York. But the department said charges cannot be brought for violations that occurred more than a year ago. Very strange. Well, the world is closely watching the Middle East as world leaders try to prevent violence there from turning into an all-out war. There are also reports U.S. service members have been hurt during an attack at a base in Iraq. U.S. officials say several Americans have been injured at al-Assad air base in Iraq in a suspected rocket attack. It's unclear if it's connected to the ongoing fighting along the Israel-Lebanon border. Israel has been preparing for retaliation from Iran after a senior Hamas leader was killed inside Tehran and a Hezbollah leader was killed in a strike in Lebanon. Top diplomats have been working around the clock trying to prevent escalation and salvage the fragile ceasefire deal. The White House says they discussed what they're doing to protect U.S. forces, along with Israel, and how to respond to a potential attack. The U.S. has moved more warships and fighter jets into the region. And coming up on the second half of the newscast, you'd be hard-pressed to find something that speaks to more people's childhood than a nice, simple grilled cheese. But this simple sandwich led to a fierce showdown at Beach Hill Pond for a grilled cheese challenge. We'll take you there as Good Morning Maine continues.
Back again, huh? You must love losing.
You're buying the next one.
You gotta win one first.
Okay.
Get 2 of your McDonald's favorites like the McDouble or McChicken for $3.99 or mix and match. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You know what today is? It's Tuesday. But no matter what day of the week, Lowry & Associates is your go-to law firm. If you've been hurt, call us right now.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do you do? Call 222-2222.
When Northern Power Wash Company, located in Bangor, wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Northern Power Wash provides outstanding pressure washing, window and gutter cleaning services to Eastern and Central Maine. Call Todd at 881-3680 today for a free estimate.
Any slow zipper knows you'll enjoy your drink from McDonald's longer than anyone else.
Savor every sip of your favorite any-size soft drink for just $1.29. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith, and today is August 6th, 2024, and today is Farm Worker Appreciation Day. And the best way to support farmers is to buy more locally grown products. Not only do these products taste better, but it's better for the economy and the environment to shop from local farms. Purchasing locally produced food decreases the amount of fossil fuels used to transport the foods, and it keeps more money in the local economy, often going directly into the pockets of families. To find a map of farmers markets in Maine and to learn more, you can head to mainefarmersmarkets.org. All right, now for some history. On this day in 1806, after 1,000 years, the Holy Roman Empire officially came to its end. With the secession of its Confederate states, when Emperor Francis II of Austria put down the imperial crown, he then became the Emperor of Austria. In 1890, in a New York State prison, convicted murderer William Kemmler became the first person to be executed by electric chair. In 1926, 19-year-old Gertrude Elder became the first woman to swim the English Channel, breaking the men's record by nearly 2 hours. In 1945, 70,000 people were killed when an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in Japan. In 1962, after 300 years of British rule, Jamaica became an independent country. In 1964, a tree called Prometheus, being the world's oldest tree, aged at 4,862 years old, was accidentally cut down in Nevada. In 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, which sought to overcome legal barriers at the state and local levels that prevented African Americans and Native Americans from exercising their right to vote. Mechanisms and strategies like poll taxes, literacy tests, fraud, and intimidation were often used to keep people from voting. However, this legislation has been weakened through several lawsuits in recent history. In 1989, the Boston Red Sox retire number 8 for left field Hall of Famer first baseman Carl Yastrzemski. Okay. Craig told me last hour and I forgot. He also said they're called Yaz. I'm showing my age here. In 2012, NASA's robotic vehicle Curiosity landed on Mars and soon began transmitting images of the planet. And for birthdays today, we have actress Michelle Yeoh. She is 62 years old today. Filmmaker M. Night Shyamalan is 54, and actress Vera Farmiga is 51 years old today. All right, moving right along now. It's going to be a little cooler than what we've been seeing the past few days, kind of a break in humidity, but we are bracing to see possibly some leftover rain from Hurricane Debbie. So that's kind of on the near horizon, or rather by the end of the week as it makes its way up the eastern seaboard. So let's get a check of that forecast with Conrad Sapinski.
Our first weather this morning is brought to you by Washington County Community College in Calais. Check out the new agricultural technology program. Don't miss out on free college. And look at this, a milder start to the day once again. Temperatures back in the 60s for the most part, right? There are a few spots, especially up north, Dover, Foxcroft, north of that into Greenville, Millinocket area. You are looking at those mid-50s outside to start out the morning. Here in town, though, right around 60 degrees. That is a couple of degrees above average. Now, talking about high temperatures, right? Last few days, look at this, 80s and 90s outside. So the last 5 days, we have been seeing those above average temperatures, that up and down roller coaster ride the last 2 weeks. That will be continuing. Now, we start to head into a little bit of a cooler temperature pattern rolling on in. Now, we saw a lot of rainfall outside, especially last night and then even throughout the day yesterday. But now things are improving, a lot more of an improvement. Just a good amount of clouds out there. For the most part, we are dry. Now the winds are right around that 5 to 10 mile per hour range. Of course, there are a couple of more breezier spots right in town. In Waterville, we're looking at a 9 mile per hour breeze, 7 here in town, 5 by Bar Harbor with the wind gust right around 15. Now for today, though, we're going to see some light winds, mostly cloudy skies. For the most part, dry temperatures right around 74 degrees. For tonight, though, mid-50s, mainly cloudy skies. So a little bit more clouds in the area, light winds as well. For tomorrow, though, decreasing clouds and then mostly sunny after 10 a.m. And we are looking at a light breeze, temperatures closer to average, right around 80 degrees. Hour by hour forecast is showing that warm up on the way, but we're going to be back in those 70s.
Thank you, Conrad. Today it looks like a nice break from that heat. Well, fierce culinary competitors gather at Beach Hill Pond in Otis, every summer, where they put their grilling skills to the test. As Jody Hersey tells us, this high-stakes rivalry is called the Grilled Cheese Sandwich Challenge, and it's like nothing you've ever seen.
The grill is hot, and so is the competition among grilled cheese makers here at Beach Hill Pond in Otis.
Hold it, flip it.
Jed and Mark Russell of Waterboro vacation here every summer, along with their friends from Vermont.
I don't know, grilled cheese just kind of stuck because it felt like there were so many possibilities.
The Russells decided to create the Grilled Cheese Sandwich Challenge, taking on their guests to see who among them can make the tastiest and most memorable version of this classic sandwich.
Some very basic rules. So it has to be grilled, it has to contain cheese, and there can be no dipping sauces.
Kylie Mazza is a two-time winner.
We get this beautiful thing that I'm wearing. We get our name engraved on a spatula and bragging rights for a year.
This is the 4th year of the challenge, and others staying on the lake get the benefit of being taste testing judges.
I came up with a mac and cheese with ham, with mozzarella on both sides, and then the bread.
After tasting all 7 sandwich entries, judges put a chip into a cup of their favorite sandwich to determine the winner. And this summer's winner was the Nickelback Pickleback sandwich made by Cindy Kolinich.
It was simply a big deal, was the description of it. Cheese, bacon, pickle.
A tasteful, friendly competition on the lake enjoyed by competitors and judges alike. In Otis, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Looks like a lot of fun. All right, right after the break, Tyler Cruz will have the latest with sports.
If you've been injured and think you can't afford a lawyer, think again.
Lowry & Associates can be your lawyers, and there's no fee unless they win your case.
We don't get paid unless you get paid. We call it the Lowry Guarantee.
They win or it's free. That's the Lowry Guarantee.
Lowry and Associates settled my case for $195,000.
Call the twos. We win for you.
If you're hurt in an accident, what do? Call 222-2222.
Hood is the cottage cheese lovers love. Start with our award-winning country style. It's delicious on its own, or like this. That. Even, sure. Plus, it's got more protein than hummus and less sugar than yogurt. Then there's Hood's flavors. We expertly blend in real fruit or savory herbs for an unbeatable taste combination you can't recreate at home. Now that's cottage cheese. Hood cottage cheese. Always good, always Hood.
Being a parent is very hard. I wake up in the morning and my feet hit the floor and I'm like, oh God.
You gotta do it when you don't want to do it.
When you have to drive a kid to school when you are sick.
And be a good mom and say all the right things and kiss the boo-boos and make the dinner, and behind that sometimes you're dealing with a lot.
You can't be the only one always.
There is information and support out there that can help the experience of parenting feel better.
Every parent really needs to feel like they can ask for help when they need to.
AMHG Works LLC, American-made home goods, located at the Rennie's Plaza in Bangor. Come check us out. We're open 7 days a week, featuring artisans, crafters, and manufacturers from across the United States, where everything is meticulously designed with care and pride. We also have a wide selection of pet accessories and treats. Let us be your new favorite store. We look forward to seeing you.
The Quiz with Balls, only tonight at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
It's a tradition like no other. Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Pretty soon, young stars from around the world will gather in Williamsport, Pennsylvania for the Little League World Series, and once again, the kids from Maine could be among them. Maine and Massachusetts battling on Monday with a trip to the New England Championship on the line. Portland starter Louis Bichard, spectacular. 2 big strikeouts here in the first inning. Bottom of the frame we go with a runner at first. Portland's cleanup hitter Charlie Armstrong crushes one to deep center. He cleans up for sure. It'll roll to the fence, scoring Bichard. That's going to make it 1-0 at Portland, and the big fella is pumped up on second base. Bottom of the fourth we go now, tied at 1. Armstrong again rips one into left center. That gets in the gap and goes to the wall again. James Minervino scores the go-ahead run, and then Portland tacks on 5 more in the 5th. 7-1 is the final. They play Thursday night on ESPN. If they win, it sends them to the Little League World Series.
Amazing. I mean, most kids don't get this opportunity, and I'm just super glad to get this chance to make it this far. And making it to Williamsport would just be amazing, and we would be completed all of our goals.
It's just really exciting, just meeting new people, meeting people from other states, and like Louis said, it's going to be a great opportunity.
All right, wishing them the best of luck. Always fun to watch. Let's go to the football field now. The Patriots just a few days away from their first preseason game. That is at home against Carolina Thursday at 7. On Monday, New England back at practice for another day of what has so far been an eventful training camp. Last week was an interesting one for New England. It started with Matthew Judon last Monday, leaving practice after chatting with Gerard Mayo. He was absent from the facility Tuesday, then back at practice to end the week, working in full. He spoke to reporters on Monday for the first time since the start of camp. He said he left practice to not be a distraction to the team. He wasn't participating anyways, and his thoughts haven't changed. He still wants to call Foxborough his home.
I got to go out there and play. I got to play the game. I got to do what I'm contracted and obligated to do, so I don't lose no money. Well, I told y'all I wanted to stay here for the remainder of my career. So I mean, obviously that would equal more, but I only got 1 year left, so it's not up to me, y'all.
All right, let's go to the Diamond now. The awesome folks at Mansfield Stadium, they can't catch a break. The Junior Legion State Tournament rolling along on Monday, just a week after the seniors took over. First up is the Gray Warriors taking on the Quirk Motor City Riverhawks out of Hamden. Second inning, Gray is in the lead, looking for more. Caden Chase lines one to left field. Cole Thibodeau, he's on second. He gets a good jump. He'll hustle around to score. Chase ends up on second with a double. Same inning, bases loaded, grounder to Logan Powers at shortstop. He makes a nice stop and fires home in time for the force. Riverhawks with the bases loaded now for Kellen Bishop. He grounds one up the middle and through for a base hit. That brings home a run. Hawks fighting back, but the Warriors were too much offensively. Jason Machino bloops one into no man's land. That gets down for an RBI, and they would keep bringing them around. Carter Davis at the plate now. He rips a base hit through. Machino hustles all the way around to score. Gray wins big. Final score, 21-3. Game 2 of the day is between the Old Town Orono Twins, the Capital Area squad. Bottom of the first, runners on for the Twins. Look at the play from Ian LaSalle, charging and throwing on the run to get the out at first. That is not an easy play. Ends the inning. Next inning, more defense. This time from Blaze Morris for the Twins. Look at this at shortstop. Slides to the backhand, up and out of his hand in no time, on the money for the out. Now some offense. Colton Colby at the dish for Capital. He shoots it up the middle. David Fry around third. He is in for home. It's a close one early on. That makes it 4-3. Twins have an answer, though. Caleb Tidwell at the dish with a man on. He lines it to center. That brings in a run from third easily. Next inning was a big one for OTO2. Ethan Clausen at the plate. He gets a hold of one to left field. 2 runs come in to score, and the Twins, they blow it open. 15-5 is the final. Our last one of the night to the winners bracket now, the Trenton Acadians and Down East Captains. First inning, hot start for the Acadians. Dawson Curtis leads it off with a base hit, and then up next is Evan Haskell. So back-to-back base hits to lead off the game for Trenton. That would set up Colin Sullivan, and he gets into one, sends it deep to left field. That goes over everyone's head. That is a double. Curtis scores. Acadians up 1-0. Bases loaded, but Miles Worcester drops a massive curveball in there for a backwards K for strike 3. Next batter, Joey Beal. He flies to right. That is called an out. That's going to be dropped on the transfer here, but Colin Sullivan comes in to score from third. That makes it 3-0, and Dawson Curtis had it going on the mound. He gets the win, and the Pen finishes off a 17-0 shutout. All right, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Meet Stacy at Sheer Haven in Bangor. Whether you're looking for a total transformation, want to try the newest trend, or just need an expert opinion on hairstyle, Stacy is up for the task. For 15 years with a passion for custom cuts and colors, Stacy makes getting your hair done the perfect experience from start to finish.
Taking the time to savor Thomas's crunchy yet soft bagels.
Thanks, Tom.
It's Tom, actually.
Right, Tom.
Tom. You doing that on purpose?
Tom.
Tom.
How have we got to Tam? Huzzah! A toast to breakfast.
This summer is the perfect time to get away with a great deal on your favorite Hyundai models. All backed by America's best warranty, plus 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Add more joy to your journey. Hurry into the Hyundai Getaway sales event. But act fast. The hottest deals of the summer won't last. Get in and get away now. Now for a limited time, get 1.99% APR for 60 months on the Hyundai Tucson or Tucson Hybrid. Hurry into the Hyundai Getaway sales event.
Here at the Eddington store, we have what you're craving. From Holton Dairy Farm products to our daily breakfast, lunch, and dinner specials. Did I mention we have fresh cut meat? From Hamburg to steaks and even fresh produce, we have what you're craving. And while you're here, don't forget your ice cream at the Dairy Bar and homemade whoopie pies. Are you low on fuel? We offer gas, diesel, and propane too. The Eddington store, for more than your average convenience store. We look forward to seeing you.
25 words or less.
You've been great against each other. You've become closer friends.
Yes, a lot has transpired. But just know, when we leave here, I will block Melissa's number.
5 days a week.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Meet Stacy at Sheer Haven in Bangor. Whether you're looking for a total transformation, want to try the newest trend, or just need an expert opinion on hairstyle, Stacy is up for the task. For 15 years with a passion for custom cuts and colors, Stacy makes getting your hair done the perfect experience from start to finish.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm here with Stephanie LaRouche. She is the chair of the Board of Trustees for Hurondo Wildlife Refuge. And she's here today to talk about an upcoming event at Gagan's Brewery with green drinks to raise awareness about all the cool things they're doing at Hurondo. Stephanie, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So can you explain, we've had folks from Hurondo on before, can you explain briefly a little bit what you guys do at Hurondo Wildlife Refuge?
Yes. We're a nonprofit organization. We maintain the Hurondo Wildlife Refuge, which is 2,400 acres of conserved land, woods and waterways. And we hold a lot of programming for the public. Environmental education is our thing. And there's plenty of opportunities for outdoor recreation. So we have 7 miles of marked trails, and that includes a universal access trail that can accommodate wheelchairs.
Oh, wow.
We have a,
That's very unique.
Yes, and we have a trail that's designed for kids with interpretive signs that talk all about different kinds of houses that wildlife use.
Yeah.
And we have a fleet of canoes and kayaks that we invite people to use free of charge on summer Saturdays, and plenty of outings in the canoes, guided outings at various times, like the full moon paddles or the dawn paddles.
I've seen those. You guys advertise those on Facebook events. That's
yes,
very
we
cool.
do. Yes.
And can we speak a little bit about, there's a home and there's a space that you can rent out.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. We have a cabin on a pond, which is a rustic setting that's ideal for birthday parties or family retreats, that type of thing.
I did not know about this.
Yes, and we also have prepared a house at Gate 3. The cabin is at Gate 1 entrance, and the house is at Gate 3 entrance, where the boats are. And that is a house that has more facilities, of course, and so it's suitable for small corporate retreats or training programs to rent.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very cool. I did not know that. And of course that helps you guys, helps fund you guys and
yes, exactly.
some necessary stuff as well.
Yes, yes. We try to keep our programming prices low and offer free opportunities like the free boats.
Right, that's
because
huge.
We want all the people to be able to enjoy the great outdoors.
Yeah, what a service to the community. I love that.
Thank you.
So this event on Tuesday at Gagan's in Bangor with green drinks. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, the wonderful Green Drinks organization is sponsoring this with free snacks and drinks, including non-alcoholic drinks.
Nice.
From 5 to 8 o'clock next Tuesday, the 13th, at Gagan's Brew Garden, which is at 570 Main Street in Bangor. And the purpose of the event is so that people can get to know a little bit more about Hurondo Wildlife Refuge and what it has to offer. So we'll have a table there with merchandise on display, and there'll be a wildlife skull matching game at the table.
Cool.
And we'll also have a wildlife trivia quiz with prizes that evening. So a lot of fun and very casual. An opportunity to make new friends.
Right, I'm glad you say that, because that's one of my favorite things about what Green Drinks does in this area, especially if you're new to this area or you just want to branch out, meet new people. I think that's a fantastic way to meet new like-minded people, because they rally themselves around certain events and places like you guys, meet other like-minded outdoorsy people.
Yes, yes, they particularly support green organizations like ours, and we're very grateful for their ongoing support. I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of your viewers out there next Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we're running out of time, but really quick, where can people learn more about this event and Hurondo in general?
Yes, well, you can find us on Facebook or at our website, www.hurundomaine.org. It's spelled Hirundo.
Easy enough. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
We'll send it over to Conrad Sapinski for that full weather forecast.
Morning weather is brought to you by Washington County Community College in Calais. Check out the new agriculture technology program. Don't miss out on free college. And wow, we had that hurricane that made landfall in the Big Bend of Florida yesterday morning, right around 7 a.m. And of course, it was a Category 1 hurricane, wind speeds right around 80 miles per hour. Now, not a hurricane, not even close. As hurricanes make landfall, they quickly dissipate in intensity. And that's what we're seeing now, right? Still that counterclockwise rotation right into Georgia and headed into South Carolina, and that will be pretty much in the region, sticking around for like 4 days. So that's going to bring an abundant amount of rain. Some places well over 10 to even 15 inches of rain the next 3 to 4 days. Now, all of that's going to go somewhere, right? And it's going to head mainly like this. So we might see some rain showers out of this right in time for the weekend. We'll, of course, keep an eye on things, but by then, just some heavy rainfall at times and maybe some gusty winds. Other than that, this is going to be post-tropical and just a low-pressure system. For now, though, I mean, we're seeing some clouds out there, right? We did see that heavier rain out there last night, even a few thunderstorms late yesterday evening into the overnight hours. Now things are improving. Of course, we're not done with that rain just yet. We're going to continue to see some showers out there maybe later on. Other than that, I do think we're going to stay dry. The coast, I do think they're going to see a little bit more of a chance of some lighter showers throughout the day today. But otherwise, though, here in town, it does look like for the most part we're going to see lots of clouds, but we will stay dry. Now, after that, yes, we are looking at more heavy rainfall moving on in, especially right in time for the weekend. Potentially 1 to even 2 inches of rain. Some places a lot more than that. You see these purples, these reds just north. That's where we're talking possibly over 2 inches of rainfall the next several days. Now, the muggy meter looking pretty good, right? Dew points are pretty low right through Wednesday, right through Thursday, and even right through Friday. We're looking at low dew points. Friday evening starting to rise, and then by the weekend, we are looking at a little bit more of a muggy scene outside, so it will feel a bit more sticky. Our high is right around 81 degrees, and we're going to be right around 80 Wednesday to Thursday, below average on Friday, Saturday, closer to average on Sunday, and then below average once again by Monday. Now for today, though, mid-70s outside, mostly cloudy skies and a light breeze. For tonight, though, mid-50s, mainly cloudy skies for the most part, staying dry. Now, for tomorrow, though, decreasing clouds. Other than that, mostly sunny after 10 a.m. Temperatures right around 80 degrees. Our extended forecast outlook is showing a good amount of sunshine out there for Thursday. More chances of thunderstorms on Friday with heavy rainfall on Saturday.
For too long, veterans across Maine had to travel hundreds of miles to get the medical care they needed. So in Congress, Marine veteran Jared Golden changed that, working to build a new hospital here so veterans can get mental health and substance abuse treatment closer to home. Now Golden's working to help more veterans get the care they deserve and protect the Social Security and Medicare benefits you've earned. Tell Jared Golden to keep putting Mainers first.
Make your boating experience even better with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. One of the best choices you can make to protect your boat and maintain your boating lifestyle. A Shoremaster boat lift makes cleaning your boat easier and provides more convenient access too. Hammond Lumber has all the accessories you need, from lighting packages and canopies to motor systems, including Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper Winch. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
For taking on New England's extreme conditions, Toyota has more hybrid all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive models than any other brand. No wonder Toyota has sold 5 times more hybrids than its nearest competitor, like the upscale Crown Hybrid, available with a total driving range of up to 594 miles. Take on extreme conditions with Toyota's proven hybrid technology. See your New England Toyota dealer, your hybrid all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. To wrap up now, I gotta scroll to the right story. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. A Manchester, New Hampshire woman found something unexpected inside her old barn house, a treasure trove of old baseball cards. Hidden in the walls, Tony Pappas immediately recognized a Ted Williams rookie card and found that the collection must have belonged to her late husband, Billy Pappas, who was a Baseball Hall of Famer at the University of New Hampshire. The cards could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Tony says if she sells the cards, she'll likely donate the proceeds to a sports scholarship she has in her husband's name at the University of New Hampshire. Wow, those do look old. Very cool. Well, giant panda Zen Duo was showered with gifts on his 10th birthday at the Yunnan Wild Animal Park in southwest China. Zen Duo loves bamboo shoots and leaves. That's most of his diet, so he got a lot of those. And he received a birthday cake full of favorite treats such as watermelons, pineapples, apples, and other fruits. Sounds like a good treat. All right, looks like we're wrapping up for now. If you missed anything, you can head to foxbangor.com. We'll be back broadcasting at 6 a.m. bright and early on ABC 7 and Fox 22 tomorrow morning. We hope you have a lovely day.
Today on 25 Words or Less, you know her from The Cosby Show, That's So Raven, and more recently, Absolutely Nothing. It's Raven Simone! And joining Raven are high school friends, Rizwan and Brian. On American Auto, he plays a wealthy trust fund baby who fails up despite having no real skills. But don't worry, in real life, actually no, that's pretty much spot on. It's John Barinholtz! And joining him are our returning champions, adventure pals, Rose and Kelly. And now here's my adventure pal, it's Meredith Vieira!
Welcome to 25 Words or Less. Ignore Jamie's intro, John. We're so happy to have you here.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
So how did we drag you to Pacoima?
I like to get out to Pacoima once a month. I say I'm good for.
Are you set for this game?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I've been speaking around my house. I've been practicing over the last month. I've only been using 20.